A new report shows our planet would have less than a day, 12 hours exactly. Should maybe you're sitting outdoors in an outdoor room with the sun shining around and having lunch, and all of a sudden the sun in the sky starts having an eruption on its own. It does it, and you will have less than 12 hours to be ready should an explosion happen on our sun. Officials say the effects would set us back a century, that we would have no planes, we would have no trains, we would have no internet. So good luck tweeting about it when it happens. Oh, Shepard, you're exaggerating all of this. Stop it one time. Nope, not me. Not me doing it. You'll hear from the people who are, and they're sort of serious people. That's coming up. If you believe that we here inside your television box just want you to be afraid, very afraid, then I offer you this. 12 hours. Officials say that's all you'll have before the effects of a record-breaking solar storm reach out to our planet. And they say it could cause all kinds of chaos. They're talking about explosions on the sun which send giant clouds of particles hurtling through space. This is an actual thing that actually does happen. I'm not making it up. Scientists say most of the time these storms don't head directly toward Earth. They head out in all kinds of directions, for there are other directions. And those that do head toward Earth take anywhere from 1 to 3 days to get here to Earth. But in a worst-case scenario, officials say we'd get half a day, 12 hours, to prepare. Over in my I'll show you what kind of problems a storm like this could cause. This is sort of a mock-up of our sun, and it's on a very stressful day for the sun. According to a new report from the UK Cabinet Office, a major solar storm would knock out power, leaving millions of people in the dark. See, this is the power grid. All of this, millions and millions of people would be in the dark, according to these scientists. Communication networks that planes and ships use to sort of get around, that would go down for days at least. So would GPS systems, so that trains would most likely not be able to run. That doesn't affect most of you, but for those of us here in the Northeast, there's a big effect on that. Officials also say a major solar storm would expose airline passengers and crews to increased radiation. And in this picture, you can see it has made everyone become invisible. But this would not be harmful to you, so fear not on this matter. I'll think of something else that you can be afraid of in a moment. As for your phone, it depends on where you live. Your phones will work, say, if you're in Great Britain, but it wouldn't work here in the United States, because here we use GPS or something with GSM, something with a G and something with an S. I don't even know. But here in the United States, you couldn't use your phones, and over there in the UK, you could use your phones. Scientists say the strongest solar storm on record happened back in 1859, the year 1859. And since the storms mess with our atmosphere, researchers say folks as far south as Cuba got to see the northern lights over Cuba. They also say telegraph operators reported sparks shooting out of their telegraphical equipment. Some bad enough to start fires there in the telegraphing center. Of course, the world's a very different place now. And analysts say if something like this is to happen, and it will happen, our high-tech infrastructure could grind to a halt. Let's bring in Hakeem Alushayi. He's host of Outrageous Acts of Science on the Science Channel. He's also a physics professor at MIT and an associate professor of physics and space sciences at Florida Institute of Technology, or FIT. Sir, thank you. Is this just scary stuff, or is this real stuff? Help me.
It actually is real stuff. It's made to be a bit scarier than maybe it should be, but it's real.
Okay, what am I supposed to do?
Well, what you're supposed to do is be prepared, and you're also supposed to live in a country that prepares itself for you, right? So what we can do as individuals is do the same thing you do to prepare for an earthquake. Any other national disaster, natural disaster that would knock out power, it essentially would be the same.
Okay, but we're talking about widespread outages that could last for a while, that could collapse the internet for a while, that could disrupt the banking system and the transportation and the telecommunication systems. That sounds like a mess.
It is a mess, and it's already happened. In the late 80s, the eastern seaboard was knocked out by a solar storm in very much the same way. So what happens is that these solar storms cause the Earth's magnetic field to rearrange itself, which creates these massive currents and power lines, and that can fry a power station and the intervening stations between the power station and your home. And so it's very real. It has happened before. It likely will happen again. And we have to repair the infrastructure, and we have to repair ourselves individually.
If our government were a functioning institution in a hypothetical world, could our government do something to ready us for this?
Well, the first thing they can do is let us know that even if you do live in a place where you don't expect a power outage, every 11 years or so, the sun becomes way more active. And that's when these events are more likely to occur. So during those time periods, that's when we're most vulnerable. So that's when you might want to keep the extra things around that could help you out. Candles, maps if your GPS goes out, or even extra food that's non-perishable.
And I guess during this 12-hour warning period, while we panic, jump up and down screaming and run no commercial breaks, we should probably unplug the computer or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, many of us have surge protectors on our electronics at home, so that's something you should always do. You should always have surge protectors, and definitely unplugging from the main system will protect you. And keep in mind, 12 hours is the worst case scenario.
So we might have up to 3 days.
Well, potentially, but if it's a big one that's going to cause this type of outage, chances are, it's going to be coming fast. So, 12 hours a day for a really big one is probably likely.
And the thinking is somebody somewhere with a telescope would be able to give us a heads up on this.
Well, we have satellites monitoring the sun every moment of every day. So if we see a big CME or a flare sending out particles in our direction, we can definitely take action because the light gets here first, and then that sets us up to protect ourselves from the action of the particles in other fields.
Well, if nothing else, it's something else to worry about, which makes me feel more, full and ready.
All right. Well, the sun is kind of calm right now, so you don't have to worry too much today.
All right. Be calm, son. Hey, Akeem, it's nice to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shepard. I'm happy to be here.
All right.